He literally, like, he kept for 2 hours, like, he would say he wasn't doing it, and then he would go right back to it. I am literally saying you should encourage people to make changes in favor of socialism. Why do you keep implying I'm not saying that? Why? Guys, I feel like I was being pretty nice there, but my perspective here is about as close to objectively correct as you're going to get, okay? That obsession with moral condemnation doesn't produce good outcomes, and my effort to try to encourage good behavior does. We've seen this before with fat loss. We've seen this with the vegan community. Every time we see an instance where moving over to a more, to another thing, or changing behavior, or changing a moral perspective leads to different types of struggles, adversities, or condemnations, affirmative, positive behavior brings about better outcomes. That is absolutely the case. I believe that about neo-Nazis, for Christ's sake. I've always said, hate the ideology, love the person, okay? Even if a person's super far right, they talk to me, they chill, I'll talk with them in as pleasant a way as I can manage, you know, and I'll say, like, hey, you may be abhorrent because of the things you believe, but you move on over. Hey, it's just, I hate the hat you're wearing, you know? What sorts of behavior should socialists be condemned for engaging in? You should, when it comes to molding good behavior from people in your community, do things that effectively encourage that without destroying the community, okay? The hypocrisy obsession shit has been destroying the socialist community for centuries. Literally, read up on historical opposition to socialism, okay? This is a specific, unique thing they keep hitting us with over and over and over and over again, constantly, and it does nothing. And every once in a while, every new generation, naive young socialists think, oh, you're right, we should be consistent. And what they do is they end up facilitating these arguments from within, and they perpetuate another cycle of destruction, okay? If you want people to act well within your community, encourage them to act well. I think you could have had a more productive convo on the, if he bit the bullet on the hypocrisy thing. Yeah. His unwillingness to admit that it was an argument from hypocrisy meant there was no chance of that conversation ever being good or productive. Obviously, yeah. He literally, like, he kept for 2 hours, like, he would say he wasn't doing it, and then he would go right back to it. Like, I try to be nice, and he was super sensitive to accusations of bad faith, but it's so obvious where these biases come from. Oh yeah, dude, I would totally accuse everyone of being bad when they do this. I just so happen to I just made 3 videos about Hasan in the past week when I barely post my YouTube channel. I constantly talk about it. I start convos over it. I've never, ever, ever attacked a non-socialist over the same type of, yeah. And also I'll pretend to ignore like the entire fucking American Western media sphere attacking Hasan over the same thing, often in very bad faith, and I'll just pretend that this is just a one-on-one convo, and I'm totally being yeah, I would say this about anyone. I hate to keep bringing up Hasan, yeah, shit like that. I do not understand your explanation earlier, though. Could you elaborate on the difference in hypocrisy between Crowder and Hasan? Yes, I absolutely can. I would be delighted to, okay? Guys, here's the difference between Crowder and Hasan. Hasan is a socialist. However, Hasan, let's say he underpays his editors. I actually have no idea if he does or not, but let's just say he does, okay? So, does Hasan being a socialist make underpaying your editors worse? Well, I don't think so. With Crowder is transphobic, but allegedly, Crowder fucks trans people. Now, does Crowder being transphobic make fucking trans people worse? No, I don't think so. Does Crowder fucking trans people make being transphobic worse? Well, I don't think so. Like, does that make it better? No, I don't really think so. Yeah, I don't really think so. It's not analogous at all. The difference, that the thing I'm arguing with Hasan, more so than anything else, is I don't think that your political positions make the bad things you do worse in a utilitarian sense. Your knowledge of and feelings on the things that you do only affect how you should be responded to, how you should be, how you should be moved over. Ignorance, malice, whatever the fuck else, they change how you approach these positions, right? Whereas with the Crowder thing, people aren't saying that one is worse because of the other. People are saying, Crowder, you can't live by your own standards, or Crowder, you're a grifter, that kind of stuff. It's not an argument that more of a moral wrong is being done. It's an argument towards disingenuousness. I guess if you wanted to make the argument that Hasan was being dishonest about being a socialist, that would be okay. That wouldn't be an argument from hypocrisy. I just don't think it'd be, you know, well, I'll put it another way, okay? I don't think Hasan is a hypocrite for buying a house, but if you guys wanted to call Hasan like a frat boy champagne socialist who like only has is like a soakdem, except he like sometimes uses language that kind of aligns with leftists, I wouldn't get mad at you, you know? There are certainly arguments you can make that I wouldn't like say are arguments from hypocrisy, you know? The last particular point by Vaush always seems self-serving. Yeah, but that's not an argument you would make about any other group, is it? That's exactly what I mean. Even if it was pure self-serving, do capitalists not make self-serving arguments all the time about why they can't do more for their workers or whatever? They do all the time, in very egregious and often dishonest ways. But you're interested in the hypocrisy, not on the actual moral worth or the harm being done by any particular action. That's what I mean. It feels good, doesn't it? Hypocrisy. I bet it's how Sargon of Akkad feels anytime he says anything, because that's all that dumb fuck can muster. Is that the appeal? Is that what gets you guys going? Fuck making good arguments and fuck the betterment of the movement, am I right? Let's all work off of spite and vague gesturing at hypocrisy. Let's do it. Can a vegan call themselves a vegan if they still eat meat or promote eating meat? By definition, a vegan has to not eat meat. So, no, you can't be a vegan and eat meat. By definition. But there's nothing in the definition of socialism that means every socialist has to do everything that perfectly aligns with every ideological position laid out by socialists. Those are good things to people to do, though. They should do it. I can't believe when Ahrelevant was like, dude, why don't we change the definition to socialist to include doing good things? That was so weird. Yeah, it's just not. It's so strange. It's so obviously not motivated from an interest in improving the movement or like actually doing any good. Shows how lazy the thinking is. Yeah, it is. Did it feel like debating destiny? In terms that it went on way too long, it was completely circular, and most of it was semantic, and the other person refused to actually own up to some of the arguments they were making. Yeah. Sure, yeah, there are some vegans who do... yeah. You know what? Honestly, you can be a vegan and eat meat. Yeah. If you're a vegan, and then you're at your fucking brother's wedding, and you have an hors d'oeuvre, and there's like some crab in it or something, like, do you instantly stop being a vegan? No, not really. Veganism is the belief that you shouldn't eat meat or animal products, and being a vegan means living by that. But yeah, the vegan police come for you. Yeah, I don't. Usually, these labels and boundaries are pretty are pretty fluid, especially when it comes to your group alignment. These sorts of purity tests are so counterproductive. No, dude, trust me. We're totally just trying to make the movement better, bro. Now let me explain to you how all socialists have the knowledge to make it more morally wrong for them to do the same things that everyone else does, and how I totally would apply these criticisms across the board. Oh, God. Yeah, anime butt stuff. At the end of the day, the strength of the movement comes first. If you agree with the principles of the movement, of course. Progressive socialism. Vaush, I just feel like expecting a person as rich as Hasan to at least spend a bit of capital in promoting socialism. Isn't that crazy? I've got good news for you, my dude. Because, you know, Hasan promotes socialism from time to time, it's been known. He actually has a Twitch stream you can go to, and you believe it or not, he talks about it sometimes. Also, if you want him to do better, that's fine. I just think saying that he's bad because he's doing a good thing, but not enough of the good thing, is kind of dumb. Like, I just think that's a little weird. Yeah, he's had union organizers on pretty regularly. He does good work. He does good stuff. Do you not think there's some truth to that? Like, what do you think is worse? Owning a slave, just thinking it's not bad, or being like George Washington and knowing it's bad and still choosing to own slaves? In terms of the utilitarian harm being done, it's equal. In terms of how you would approach the two of them to change their minds, that differs significantly. In terms of, in retrospect, what impression we're supposed to get of slavery and the culture of slave ownership back during the founding of the country, it's interesting and immediately useful. But those are all different categories that we have to think of in different ways. Do you believe socialism is a social philosophy or a mode of production? For me, I just define it, it's the two big ones, you know? Decommodification, workers' democracy. Again, yeah, like negative reinforcement, like this condemnation bullshit just doesn't seem to work. I don't understand the obsession with it. Do you guys really value your performativity and virtue signaling over the effectiveness of what it is you're saying? Like, would you really, like, oh yeah, dude, you know, I totally want to, like, change socialism for the better, which is why I'm going to do this thing that doesn't work. Like, what? Jesus. Some people do it stupid. Yeah, I know. That's my experience with a lot of people. It's incredibly frustrating. For the love of God, drop the philosophy jargon. Nobody in chat understands you. I think I did fine with the philosophy jargon. Has anyone else noticed that there are a lot of people associated with Destiny who claim to be utilitarians, but then effortlessly slide into virtue ethics or deontology whenever it's convenient to them? Holy fuck. Like, the hypocrisy thing, like, it's so obviously like a deontological opposition to hypocrisy. They do it with a lot of things. It's really, really, really strange. Like, you can be a deontologist. Just don't say you're not, you know? I think we can just say socialism doesn't come up with a moral framework in which actions to morally condemn. It's just a set of economic and political beliefs. The moral framework on what's good or moral is entirely separate from socialism, unless you're a moral realist, I guess. Yeah, it's true. Like, technically, I think you could technically construct like a Marxist worldview where a person is pro oppressing workers, right? Because Marxism, like historical materialism and stuff, it lays out an understanding of the world, but in terms of, like, the moral prescriptions, you could believe all of that and then, like, be on the wrong side, you know? Thank you, Demon Mama. Yes, this did feel very Destiny adjacent. I say I'm not going to talk with Destiny anymore, and then, like, other people come in to fill the gaps. Yes, hello. I will in the near future. Hold on. No one's taking Hasan's socialist card. We're saying with the socialist card should come some effort to make socialist changes, especially with the level of wealth Hasan is. First of all, Ahrelevant was. Ahrelevant literally said that we should change the definition of socialism to include action. And second of all, I am literally saying you should encourage people to make changes in favor of socialism. Why do you keep implying I'm not saying that? Why? Why? Why do people keep implying I'm not saying that? I've said literally. How does being a socialist not include action, though? It's just a political and economic set of beliefs. Wait, Hasan canvas/donated for Bernie and got his community to get out for him. The thing that really bugs me is I'm pretty sure that Hasan does go above and beyond fairly often. He said he donates, like, decently. He just doesn't publicize it every single time. He has, like, directly worked with and promoted political organizations. It seems like this obsession with getting Hasan to do, like, more isn't, like, it's like what is enough? Like, what is the more level? Like, you know, if he did one big thing every year, it would be like, well, why doesn't he do two, you know? That's why arguments from hypocrisy are fucking worthless. Because at the end of the day, this gatekeeping shit has an infinitely flexible goalpost. We didn't even get to that. It's just annoying. Like, there's no actual way to falsify it, you know? There are people who say I don't do enough. And, I mean, I've done 2 big charity streams, and I promote people, and I do what I can. But if the people want to say I'm not doing enough, they can just say that. They don't need to prove it. They can just fucking say it. So what is your standard for when we do condemn or heavily scrutinize or whatever? When do we give consequences to proclaim socialists for failing to meet their own beliefs when they could have done it so with few to no side effects themselves? What consequences? I don't even know what that means. How do you do consequence? If you don't want to watch Hasan, that's your right. I don't know what other consequences you could do to a content creator for not doing that or whatever. I don't know. If you don't want to watch them, you don't have to watch them. If you want to make arguments against them or their behavior, you can. I would just ask that if you care about socialism, you do so in a way that promotes good behavior within socialism. Hasan even said last week that he worked with the Warnock and Ossoff campaigns, but not publicly at the request of the campaigns. Yeah, I want, like, there might not even be any tooth to any of this. I like Vaush with a little fucking tanky-brained anti-SOCDEM take. Dude, you don't have to be tanky-brained to have a problem with social democracy. Social democracy is capitalist. It's just a socialist take. Socialist brain. He drops her deeply cringe. Like, so often just wrong. We don't forget you backing the fuck off that social democracy relies on unequal exchange, buddy. I never backed off that. What the fuck are you talking about? I actually did I got emails and did an off-stream research thing, and yeah, even countries like Norway massively rely on supply chains that rely on the exploitation of the third world. Even if that wasn't the case, social democracy is literally capitalist. Obviously it relies on exploitation from a leftist perspective. When the fuck did I back off that? Jesus Christ. This dude is cringe as fuck. He said Marxism-Leninism is more threatening than fascism. Did he really say that? Jesus Christ. People just forget you're a socialist because you've been on the pragmatism arc during the election. You need to remind them. We might actually have to purge the SOCDEMs, guys. It might actually have to happen. You want me to start reintroducing Marxist language into my fucking videos and streams? Because I'll tolerate you guys. Up to a point, but past a certain point, do you have any idea how difficult it is for me to not go on fucking proletariat this, you know, alienation that, blah, blah, the theory that I've read, and I've read a lot of it since the last time this came up, but you know what I do? I keep quiet like a good little boy because I know that it alienates liberals, but if Soak Dems are going to turn on me for saying we shouldn't attack socialists for not doing the 87th good thing instead of just 86th, then I don't see what the fucking point of that is. I try so hard. But in the end,